Welcome to the Wave Strength. Innovative solutions for a secure retirement. Presented by Pacific Life.
Good day and welcome to another session of the Wave Strength. I'm Ruth Shaw from Pacific Life, Senior Director of DC Lifetime Income Solutions. I have with me Carolyn Elrod and Mary Beth Franklin, a well-known expert on Social Security.
My name is Carolyn Elrod. I am the manager and a consultant with the Retirement Strategies Group at Pacific Life with the Consumer Markets Division.
And I am Mary Beth Franklin. I'm a lifelong journalist specializing in personal finance, and for the last decade or so, been focusing on Social Security and how people can maximize their benefits.
Mary Beth, we know you have a very long career talking about everything finances to Social Security. You received your CFP several years ago, and that all culminated into the Investment News Trailblazer Award in 2022. Can you tell us a little bit about how you earned that award and what it means to you?
I think it's because I'm old. That if you do something long enough, somebody will give you a prize. I was truly honored, though, that Investment News chose to recognize my contributions both to financial services profession in my leadership in getting financial professionals to understand the importance of Social Security and how to communicate that to their clients. And also my work with the Certified Financial Planning Board of Standards Women's Initiative of how importantly to get more women and people of color among the ranks of financial professionals. Because frankly, this profession was always old, male, and pale for a very long time, which was fine because that's what their clients look like. But the business case for diversity in this profession is the fact that increasingly our clients are female, people of color, of all different backgrounds, and they often want to talk to someone who looks and sounds like them. So it just makes sense that we should broaden the ranks of financial professionals to serve an increasingly diverse client base.
Absolutely, because I imagine that conversation would look different, right? For, minorities and persons of color when they talk to a financial professional that is familiar, with the strife that they may experience in their life. When talking about Social Security, what are some strategies maybe that women or minorities could follow or that would be really important for them to know as they plan for taking Social Security in retirement?
Well, Social Security is particularly important to women because, in general, we live a long time. And these days, women may receive a Social Security benefit based on their own work record or because they're married to someone who is a Social Security beneficiary or because they are the widow of someone who was entitled to Social Security. So they need to know the different types of benefits and when they would be eligible. The other idea of delaying benefits up until age 70 to create the largest retirement benefit possible is great if you're expected to live a long time, and particularly for married couples if one spouse, preferably the one with the bigger benefit, waits up until age 70 to create the largest retirement benefit while both spouses are alive, and potentially the largest survivor benefit for the spouse left behind. When it comes to minorities, though, it's a little different. You have to look at your likely life expectancy. And the sad fact is, minorities in this country do not tend to live as long as many white Americans. And if you're not going to live a long time, perhaps delaying till 70 is not your best strategy. So the thing to think about with Social Security is it is an important base piece of secure retirement income, but when and how you claim it is very situational, based on your health, based on your average lifetime earnings, based on your marital status, and frankly, your need for money. And no matter what strategies are out there, if you need the money, go ahead and take it, even if it's a reduced benefit early at age 62. And maybe if your situation changes later, maybe you get another job, you might be able to reverse that decision by withdrawing your benefits or suspending your benefits later.
So continuing down kind of like optimizing Social Security with the prevalence of divorce and even gray divorce now, what are some strategies that women should know about that they probably don't?
Well, I want every woman out there to realize the basic rule of Social Security is you must have been married at least 10 years, divorced and currently single, to be able to collect a benefit on your ex's earnings record if that benefit as a spouse is larger than your own. So the only thing you need to remember is there must be at least a decade between I do and I don't. 9 years, 11 months, and 29 days does not cut it. And if things are falling apart in years 8, 9, 10, you just string out that paperwork, because the only dates that matter are the date of your marriage and the date of your final divorce decree. The other thing to realize is in the event you are divorced and you and your ex are at least 62 years old and entitled to Social Security, and you have been divorced for at least 2 years, you may be able to collect on your ex, again, if your benefit as a spouse is larger than your own, even if your ex is not yet claimed. You are an independently entitled spouse. But the one thing I really want people to know is if you are divorced and you're thinking of taking a second trip down the aisle, wait till 60 or later to do it, because here's a crazy exception to the rule. As long as you've been married at least 10 years and divorced, you have to be currently single to collect on a living ex. But if you remarry at age 60 or later, you can collect on a dead ex even if you're married to someone else at the time. So here's the other thing to remember. There must be at least a decade between I do and I don't. And if you're going to take that second trip down the aisle, wait till 60 to do it.
So what about all those Beyonce fans, all the single ladies, right? The ones that don't want to get married but have a lifelong partner. Let's talk a little bit about common law marriage. Does that have a place with Social Security claiming at all?
Depending where you live, Social Security does not have a national rule about common law marriages, but it respects whatever the state law is. So if you live in a state like California, I believe that has a common law marriage rule. I know Texas does. I live in Virginia. It does not. So it would depend where you live. The other thing is for same-sex couples to look at what their benefits might be. Many couples were together a long time before it was legal in many states to marry. It became a national right as of 2015. There is an entire section on the Social Security webpage, which is ssa.gov, that explains all the rights and benefits for same-sex couples.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's great to know. I didn't know that, and every time we've talked, I've learned something new. So a long time ago, I shouldn't even say a long time ago, throughout your career, you just kept taking action, learning more about whether it was Social Security or whether it was about just finance in general. So as we think about the audience, what are some action items that we should be sharing with them that they need to think through?
From my personal career standpoint, my motto has been, if the rules don't work for you, change the rules. I will start with the days when I was a Capitol Hill reporter for United Press International and was expecting my first child. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? And then I looked around and realized very few people were on Capitol Hill on Mondays or Fridays. And I suggested to my boss at the time, how about I just work 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you pay me 3/5 of a salary? And they say, that's great. And it was until they went bankrupt, and then I got 3/5 of the salary reduced by another 25%, and my babysitter took home more than I did. But it was a bookmark, and it let me stay in that career path. When later on, I was studying to become a CFP, and I took the 7 university-level courses. I passed the exam first time around, but I didn't have the experience requirements that would allow me to use the CFP mark. And I said, okay, I'm not going to quit my job and intern at a financial planning firm. That's not happening. But I do answer about 100 questions a week from consumers. How about I blind copy you on every one, and you tell me if I don't have the experience? And after a couple of months, they said, great, stop. And they said, please be patient. And they rewrote the rules so that personal finance journalists like me could use the CFP marks. And I was actually the first person in July 2015 that was able to call myself a CFP under those new rules. So that's my message to the audience. There's a lot of rules out there. It's important to understand what the rules are, but sometimes they don't make sense, and sometimes you have to work hard to change them.
So as we think about Social Security, what are a few action items that you might tell people, maybe 1 to 3 action items everyone should be doing?
I think the first thing everyone 18 and older should do is go to the Social Security website, which is ssa.gov, and make sure you create the personal My account. Very simple to do. And the idea is this will be your personal Social Security record, just like most of us used to get in the mail. But Social Security doesn't send those papers anymore because it costs too much money. This is probably the most important financial document most Americans have. It will list every year how much you were paid, how much you paid in FICA taxes. And as most people know, we only pay FICA taxes up to a certain wage base. This year in 2023, it's about $160,000. If you make more than that, you don't pay on the excess for Social Security, but you do pay a Medicare tax on all of your earnings, even that money above the taxable wage base. So this document will record not only how much you paid in FICA taxes over your lifetime, but what your actual earnings are. It's a complete picture of your earnings throughout your career. And if that isn't the biggest motivation I know to maximize your Social Security benefits, is add up the FICA taxes you have paid over your career, how much you have invested in this program. Don't you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of it in benefits? The other thing is, if you work for an employer, it's the employer's job to report those wages every year, but it's your job to make sure it's right. So everyone should be checking those records at least once a year to make sure your wages were reported correctly. If you know you made $90,000 a year and it says 0, you got a problem there. And you want to contact your employer, contact Social Security, and make sure it's corrected, because your future benefits are based on the earnings as they are reported. And the final thing I would say, again, relating to that Social Security record, is when you look at it, and these are estimates based on your average lifetime earnings, the closer you are to retirement age, the more accurate those estimates are going to be. But it will tell you, if you are single, what your benefit's going to be. If you're married, it will tell you what the survivor benefit would be for your spouse and your dependent minor children if you died, or how much you get if you became disabled. It's a very important document. We have all invested in this program. Educate yourself so you can get the most out of it.
Well, thank you so much, Mary Beth, for visiting us today and joining Carolyn and I on the Social Security discussion. And to all of our viewers out there, thank you for joining us. We hope you've learned something. Go out and review your Social Security information. And additionally, please follow us and like us, and we hope you join us for more Wave Strength sessions.
This has been another episode of The Wave Strength, presented by Pacific Life. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Although this podcast is presented by Pacific Life, the opinions and views expressed are those of the hosts and participants and do not necessarily reflect Pacific Life's views on any of the topics discussed. Unless otherwise noted, Pacific Life is unaffiliated with any other individual or company mentioned. Pacific Life is a product provider. It is not a fiduciary and therefore does not give advice or make recommendations regarding insurance or investment products. Pacific Life, its affiliates, its distributors, and respective representatives do not provide any employer-sponsored qualified plan administrative services or impartial advice about investments, and do not act in a fiduciary capacity for any plan. Pacific Life refers to Pacific Life Insurance Company and its subsidiary, Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Insurance products can be issued in all states except New York by Pacific Life Insurance Company, and in all states by Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Product availability and features may vary by state. Each insurance company is solely responsible for the financial obligations accruing under the products it issues. This podcast was recorded on August 24th, 2023.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation below and leave a comment on your thoughts on what the industry can do better for participants as it pertains to lifetime income solutions. And if you'd like more interesting content, click one of these links over here.